My child, the pause, because this moment is not like any other. This moment has been carved into the fabric of your destiny, long before you questioned why things felt out of balance, long before you looked around and whispered to yourself, something is off. But I can't name it. You weren't meant to find this message by accident, and I wasn't sent to speak these words to anyone else but you. The atmosphere is shifting. Can you feel it? The pulse in your chest isn't just anxiety. The tightness in your spirit isn't just fatigue, it's divine urgency. It's the sound of heaven alerting you before something spiritual, something dangerous, moves too far into your path. I speak to you now, not from a place of fear, but of holy alignment. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of your life today with sword drawn, not for battle, but for intervention. But if you do not heed this warning, if you dismiss this message as coincidence, if you scroll past the signs sent just for your eyes, then everything that has been building, the prayers, the shifts, the preparation, may be intercepted. This is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to awaken you. You are not imagining things. You're not overthinking. What you've sensed lately, through the changes in people's tone, the coldness from familiar places, the strange timing of certain losses, these are not random. They are not subtle punishments. They are warnings wrapped in mercy. Listen, when heaven begins to speak in silence, it means a door is being sealed and another is being opened, but only the discerning will notice the hinges creak. I must tell you, something now, something sacred. You are standing at a spiritual intersection. One path will lead you deeper into divine clarity. The other, into distraction that feels like safety. Do not mistake comfort for alignment. Do not confuse delay with protection, because there is an enemy who has been studying you quietly, watching you lose sleep, noticing when you shrink back. And if you remain passive now, if you ignore the dissonance inside, you will forfeit something heaven has already stamped with your name. There is something you need to know. Your spirit has been marked for breakthrough, and that breakthrough is closer than ever, but it is being contested, and that's why you've been feeling resistance in your surroundings. You've prayed, you've waited, and now heaven has responded, not with fanfare, but with this message. Do not rush past this. There's someone you've allowed back into your emotional field. Maybe they returned quietly. Maybe they never physically left, but you reopened your heart to them. And now heaven is tugging you by the soul, whispering, "Child, look again." Not everything that feels familiar is safe. Not everything that sounds sincere is sacred. Some connections were meant to be temporary scaffolding, never permanent structures. And now your spirit is in conflict, because the part of you that craves peace is at war with the part of you that knows something is. Don't deny what your discernment has already picked up on. You've brushed it off too many times. Heaven doesn't repeat warnings without reason. Let me ask you something personal. Have you felt unusually tired lately? Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that lingers in your chest even after hours of rest. That's not just stress. That is spiritual weight. That is the presence of unseen warfare, pressing in from the outside, trying to bend the light inside you. And here's the truth that's harder to swallow. The attack isn't always external. Sometimes the open door is emotional, relational, familiar. Sometimes it's a conversation you weren't supposed to continue, a promise you weren't meant to make again. But listen, even now, even in this moment, you are not without defense. Archangel Michael says to you, "Beloved one, I am near, I am not distant, I am not delayed. I have been assigned to you, not just for this moment, but for every moment you've questioned your worth. Every tear that fell in silence was counted. Every time you forgave instead of retaliating, it was recorded in heaven. But now, it is time to act. The shield of protection is hovering over you, but it is your awareness that activates it. You must be spiritually awake right now, more than ever, because what you do next will either unlock what's been held back or delay it indefinitely. This is not a punishment. This is a divine alert. You were chosen for this message. You are the reason it was spoken today. And if your heart is trembling as you hear these words, it is because you recognize them, not with your mind, but with your soul. Heaven is speaking directly to your spirit, bypassing every logical excuse you've made for staying in places that no longer align. This is your line in the sand. You will either continue to tolerate half-truths and hidden intentions, or you will rise into the clarity that has been patiently waiting on the other side of obedience. Before I close this first part, I want to ask you to do something not with emotion, but with spiritual intention. If this word pierced something deep inside you, if you felt even a flicker of "this is for me," then declare it. Not for me, not for the platform, but as a signal to heaven that you are awake, that you are alert, that you will not ignore the sign again. Type in the comments, "I will not miss my moment." And then breathe, because this is only the beginning. In the next part of this sacred message, I will reveal why some of the people you love most are being spiritually redirected from your life, and why letting go is not loss, but protection. Stay with me. Beloved, your discernment is being sharpened, your spirit is being fortified, and your next decision is more important than you know. Archangel Michael is not just watching over you, he is preparing you for something greater. Are you ready to see what's coming next, my beloved child? You stayed, you listened, and now heaven will reveal what your heart has already suspected, but your mind was afraid to admit. There are people in your life, some you trust, some you cherish, whose presence feels comforting, but whose intentions are not aligned with your elevation. This is not said to stir fear, but to awaken what God has already planted within you, the gift of holy discernment. And now, that gift is being stirred into action. You've noticed the change, haven't you? Not in what people say, but in what they don't say, not in the words they use, but in the silence that echoes after your victories, the sideways glances, the slow replies, the sudden distance. You've dismissed it before. You told yourself you were being too sensitive, but sensitivity, my child, is not weakness. It is your soul's alarm bell when something sacred is at risk. Archangel Michael speaks clearly now. You must not ignore what your spirit is revealing. There is someone whose proximity to you has shifted from blessing to burden, someone who once supported you, but now subtly pulls your energy, drains your clarity, and clouds your confidence. This is not about resentment. This is about recognition. You are no longer who you were when they first knew you, and because of that, they no longer recognize your light, only the reflection of who they used to be in your shadow. But let me tell you something profound. You are not required to explain your growth to those still comfortable in the past version of you. You are not obligated to water relationships that wither the more you bloom, and you are not responsible for protecting the image someone has of you when God is trying to upgrade your identity. There is an unease growing within someone close to you. Not because you've harmed them, but because your peace convicts their chaos, because your obedience exposes their manipulation. Do you see it now? The very ones who once cheered for your healing now flinch when you speak truth. The very ones who once encouraged your prayers now grow silent when you mention faith. This shift is not accidental. Heaven is revealing what has been hidden in shadows, not to destroy connections, but to purify them. And if purification means distance, then so be it. My child, your presence is too sacred to be treated as casual. Your path is too intentional to be tangled in low-frequency alliances. There is a difference between being loyal and being bound. Some of you have mistaken the soul ties of familiarity for the cords of divine connection. But Archangel Michael is cutting what heaven never tied. You must be willing to let go before it costs you everything. There is still time. there is still grace. But that window is not open forever, even. Now, as you hear these words, the Holy Spirit is placing a name on your heart, not to condemn, but to release, because your breakthrough is on the other side of that release. You've prayed for peace. But peace doesn't just arrive, it requires space to dwell. And some of the spaces in your heart are still occupied by what God has been trying to remove. Listen, they may not have meant to hurt you. They may not even be fully aware of the spirit they're operating under, but intention does not erase consequence, and heaven is not judging their soul. Heaven is guarding yours. You've been sensing it in your sleep, waking at strange hours, feeling your spirit stir as if something unseen is brushing past your soul. This is not random. This is revelation. There are conversations happening behind closed doors. There are thoughts spoken in whispers. But God hears all. And while your ears may not catch every word, your spirit feels what your ears cannot hear. Archangel Michael has drawn his sword, not to attack others, but to shield you from unseen snares. You must trust this divine protection, even when it separates you from the ones you thought would walk with you forever. God is not cruel. He is strategic. He removes not to punish, but to preserve. And you, my child, are being preserved. You may feel the ache of detachment. You may miss what once was, but what lies ahead carries weight your past cannot hold. This is the season where heaven draws a line between companionship and calling, between comfort and covenant, between emotion and elevation. Ask yourself, has their presence brought you closer to clarity or deeper into confusion? Has their counsel aligned with peace or tangled you in doubt? Have you felt lighter with them or heavier when they speak? These are the signs. These are the soft warnings you've ignored too long. Archangel Michael commands, do not look away this time. You are not being punished. You are being promoted, and elevation requires separation. Let the tears fall if they must, but do not let nostalgia chain you to delay. You cannot carry everyone into your promised season. Some people were part of the wilderness, not the crossing. You have crossed enough deserts to recognize what doesn't survive in the light. Now you must walk forward, with resolve, with vision, with holy detachment. This is your spiritual awakening. This is where discernment becomes your sword. This is where silence becomes your strategy. And now I ask you, if your heart burned during this message, if a name, a pattern, or a presence came to your mind, don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Don't numb it. Declare it. Type in the comments, I trust heaven's protection. Because that declaration doesn't just release you, it signals the heavens that you're ready for the next assignment. You are not weak for letting go. You are wise for recognizing when it's time. Your silence will speak louder than confrontation ever could. Your distance will protect what stillness is building. Stay with me. In the next part, we will speak of how heaven has been preparing your surroundings, shifting atmospheres, changing the people around you, and exposing what must be revealed before the next door opens. Archangel Michael is not just warning you. He is walking beside you, and the signs you've seen are only the beginning. My precious one, you've made it to this part for a reason, not because you're seeking answers from the world, but because your spirit has already received whispers that cannot be silenced. Something around you has been shifting, but the world called it mood swings, fatigue, or coincidence. Let me tell you the truth. What you've been feeling is not just emotional turbulence, it's spiritual warfare. This is not symbolic, this is not poetic, this is real. And whether or not you were aware of it, you've been in a battle that never announced itself. That tightness in your chest, that heaviness behind your eyes, that strange tension in the room before you even speak, all of it, signs, not signs to fear, but signs to discern. Because the closer your destiny draws near, the louder the distractions become. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. to disguise divine redirection as confusion, to make you question your sanity, to make you believe that your inner knowing is just paranoia. But Archangel Michael has been sent to break through the noise. He stands beside you, not to explain the chaos, but to clear a path through it. Heaven has not been silent. Heaven has been strategic. Sometimes divine protection sounds like silence, but acts like removal. You asked why certain people left, why the opportunity slipped, why a yes turned into a not now. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection, because what was about to enter your life had the potential to contaminate the very thing God was growing in you. And you, my child, you have been growing, not in ways visible to the world, but in ways that shake the unseen. Your discernment has sharpened, your boundaries have strengthened, your soul has learned the value of silence. That is why the enemy is disturbed, because what used to distract you no longer moves you. You're not reacting like you once did. You're not explaining yourself like you used to. You've stopped reaching for the hands that kept letting go. And now, you're becoming dangerous to darkness because you've discovered the truth. Stillness is strategy. You no longer need to confront every whisper. You don't have to chase closure. You don't have to explain the peace you've chosen. And that, beloved, that is victory. Even when it doesn't look like it, even when the battle feels unseen, even when you cry behind closed doors, wondering why the fight had to be yours. But let me remind you, this battle was never about people. It was about your position in the spirit, and the closer you move toward your calling, the more resistance you feel. You have walked through shadows not meant for the faint of heart. You have stood in rooms where your name was discussed with ill intent. You have smiled while your heart was breaking, and you have kept walking while lies tried to unravel your character. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still discerning. Heaven sees you. Heaven remembers every moment you chose grace over retaliation. Every moment you resisted the urge to defend yourself when your spirit whispered, "Let it go. Now hear me." This season is not about survival anymore. It's about sovereignty. You're stepping into a place where your inner peace becomes non-negotiable, where your energy becomes sacred territory, where your words carry power not just because they're eloquent, but because they're rooted in revelation. Archangel Michael whispers now, "Do not be deceived by the calm. This is not a pause. This is a preparation." The next few days, you may begin to see things more clearly. Some messages won't arrive. Some people will remain distant. Some plans will fall through. And instead of questioning what's going wrong, you'll finally realize what's going right. Because heaven is moving, not against you, but ahead of you, setting traps for those who plot, closing doors that look golden but hide thorns, aligning your next steps with a blueprint that's already been sealed in glory. Let me ask you something. Have you felt the chills while listening? Have you looked back at the past few days and realized, wait, that conversation wasn't normal, that apology didn't feel sincere, that opportunity looked too smooth to be true? If you've felt this, it's because your spirit is awakening, your inner eye is opening, and this is what makes you chosen. Not because your life is perfect, but because your awareness is divine. You are no longer moved by surface emotions. You see into patterns. You recognize intention. You sense energy before words are spoken. And that is why this part of the journey requires stillness. Because what's coming needs room to land. So now I speak to your heart. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The enemy hoped the silence would confuse you, but God knew the silence would center you. The enemy hoped the delays would discourage you, but heaven planned the delays to protect you. And now you have a choice. You can either go back to explaining your growth to people who benefit from your stagnation, or you can step into the truth with reverence and confidence. Your destiny is not tied to their acceptance. It is tied to your obedience. So I ask you now, if this resonates with you, if you've been waking up feeling something is shifting, if your spirit feels like it's standing at the edge of something unseen, type in the comments, I am aligned with heaven. That declaration is more than text. It's a signal, a sign, a sword. It tells the heavens you're ready to respond. And in this season, response is everything. In the next part, I will speak of the danger of distractions dressed as blessings, and how even good things, if misaligned, can delay the promise. Archangel Michael will reveal how to see what looks holy but is not heaven sent. Stay awake, beloved. Stay aware. Your discernment is not a burden, it is your shield. Beloved, you have discerned danger before it spoke. Now it comes dressed in light. Not every opportunity is sacred. Not every returning face is redemption. Some doors open not by heaven's hand, but by your desperation. You asked for alignment. Now you must test it. The enemy no longer roars, he whispers. And the whisper says, this is what you prayed for. But your spirit says, look again. Because if it costs you your clarity, if it presses on your peace, it's not from heaven. Archangel Michael declares, the enemy now wears the mask of answered prayer. You are not being tempted by darkness. You are being lured by imitation light. Do not confuse ease with approval. Some things arrive to delay, not destroy. The blessing you wait for requires discernment to recognize, and distractions come clothed in timing that feels perfect. But is it divine? Does it draw you closer to your spirit or deeper into confusion? This is your test. Will you settle for the immediate or wait for what's eternal? Your heart has matured. You no longer chase just because it shines. You listen. You pause. Heaven speaks. In those pauses, even now, someone may return. Their voice may sound healed, but their intention still hides. You must not reopen what God has already closed. You must not answer what your spirit has already quieted. This season requires silence, stillness, and watchfulness. Archangel Michael urges, trust what you feel in your spirit more than what you see with your eyes. Because what appears smooth may be the very thing sent to suffocate your next move. Stay hidden, stay covered, and if your peace trembles, stop. If this message stirs something inside you, declare it now. Type in the comments, I choose alignment over appearance, because you no longer need the approval of the wrong voice to confirm the right path. Heaven waits for your yes, not to what is easy, but to what is eternal. This is your filter. Peace is not passive. Peace is protective. What feels holy will never ask you to ignore your spirit. My dear one, there's something sacred that no one taught you, something you discovered only in the depths of your ache. Your silence was never weakness. It was a strategy. Heaven has been moving through your quiet. Each time you chose not to respond, each time you walked away instead of reacting, each time you swallowed your pride and whispered to God instead of retaliating, you were aligning with divine instruction. And now it's time to understand why. Archangel Michael speaks this truth. Your silence has shaken what your words could never reach. Because silence in the spiritual realm is not absence, it is authority. It confuses the enemy. It breaks the momentum of manipulation. It tells heaven, I trust the unseen more than what I can explain. You've been led to believe that being quiet meant losing, but it wasn't loss, it was positioning. Heaven hides its warriors in stillness before revealing them in strength. Let that settle in your spirit. The reason you felt overlooked, the reason others got recognition while you faded to the background, was because God wasn't hiding you out of rejection. He was hiding you for preservation, because had you stepped forward too soon, had you responded to every accusation, had you defended every lie, you would have fought a war God was already winning on your behalf. Beloved, listen carefully. There are conversations happening about you, some laced with misunderstanding, some carrying the weight of distortion. And yes, Some spoken by people you once trusted, but you do not need to chase clarification. You do not need to correct their version of you. God knows the truth, and in due season, truth will rise on its own. The silence you've carried has been protection, wrapped in surrender. It allowed heaven to fight battles you never saw. It gave angels room to move. It told the enemy, this one knows how to wait. This one is unshakable. That is why the enemy is nervous, because your stillness is not silence born of fear. It is stillness born of faith. You could have spoken up. You could have lashed out. You could have exposed what others did behind closed doors, but you didn't. Not because you were weak, but because you were being refined. And every moment you chose stillness, you placed another brick in the fortress of your future. Now, beloved, look around. Have you noticed how certain voices no longer reach you? How certain names no longer trigger your heart? How certain patterns no longer repeat? That is the evidence of your inner transformation. Your silence built a new atmosphere, and now you are dwelling in clarity. But I must warn you gently, this next phase requires that you continue protecting your peace, because there are still some who want access to the old you. Not because they value you, but because your stillness threatens their control. You do not owe them access. You are not obligated to explain your quiet. Your transformation is not a group project, and your destiny does not require their approval. Archangel Michael says, stay hidden a little longer. What heaven is preparing in you is not yet ready to be handled by the unhealed. Not everyone can carry the weight of who you're becoming. Not everyone deserves to hear what God whispered in your silence. And so, I say this to you with tenderness. Keep your sacred space guarded. Keep your circle covered in prayer. Keep your mouth aligned with wisdom, because what's coming next will not require you to shout. It will announce itself. Your life will become the proof. You won't need to convince anyone of your calling. They will see the fruit, they will feel the shift, and they will either draw closer in reverence or distance themselves in discomfort. Either way, you will remain in peace. That is your gift. That is your reward. Now I ask you, has your silence made people question you? Have they mistaken your pause for punishment, your restraint for retreat? If so, take heart, because heaven sees what man misjudges, and what's growing inside you is not for everyone to understand. It is for appointed time and divine purpose. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are being readied. That's why the atmosphere around you has felt so heavy, why you've withdrawn, why you've sensed heaven asking you to say less and see more. This is not suppression, it's sanctification. So now I invite you, if this word resonates deep in your chest, if you feel seen, not just heard, type in the comments. My silence is sacred, because when you speak that, you're telling the unseen realm, I trust God's timeline. I don't need applause. I don't need answers. I have peace, and that peace is your weapon. Let them whisper. Let them watch. You are not moved by noise anymore. You are being moved by heaven. And in the next part, you will see how your spiritual stillness has stirred a release from heaven, a divine opening prepared by the very tears you cried in private. Archangel Michael is not finished. He's just beginning to speak what your silence has made room for. So hold steady, child. What's coming next will speak louder than any word you've ever spoken. Beloved child, you have come this far, not because it was easy, but because something holy inside you refused to give up. And now, heaven says, it is time. Time to release what no longer serves. Time to step into what you feared you weren't ready for. Time to become the version of you that trials have been shaping in silence. This is not just the end of a message. This is the beginning of a new assignment. You have been tested. You have been quieted. You have been misjudged. But none of it was punishment. It was preparation. Archangel Michael speaks now with divine clarity. Everything you endured, heaven saw. Every tear you wept in secret was a seed. And now the harvest is near. The warfare you faced wasn't random. It was calculated, because what's been written over your life threatens every scheme of darkness. You were never the problem. You were the answer the enemy hoped you wouldn't discover. But now, you have. You've discovered the strength that only silence reveals. You've recognized the warnings others ignored. You've surrendered when you could have fought, and that surrender has activated a shift. Listen closely. In the next 72 hours, things may start to feel strange. Old conversations may resurface. A name from the past may appear. An opportunity may knock louder than usual. But you will not be fooled, because now you see with spiritual eyes. Now you know. Longer respond out of emotion, but from discernment. Now your voice carries weight, not because it's loud, but because it's aligned. And that alignment, it's heaven's green light. It's the confirmation that says, step forward now, beloved. The way is being made. But don't mistake this new clarity for absence of warfare. As you rise, resistance may whisper. Voices may return, not in peace, but to distract. Delay may cloak itself in maybe later or not yet. Do not listen. The door is open. The mantle is ready. Your obedience is the final key. God is no longer whispering. He is declaring, you've waited, you've listened. Now, you must act. This is your appointed hour. You will begin to see favor show up in unusual places. Resources will come from directions you never anticipated. People you thought had forgotten you will circle back, not by accident, but by divine orchestration. But be wise. Not all who return are meant to re-enter. Not all offers are meant to be accepted. Some are just tests, final confirmations that your discernment is matured. Archangel Michael reminds you, the next breakthrough is tied not just to your faith, but to your focus. If you keep looking back, you will miss what's opening ahead. If you keep rehearsing the old story, you will delay the arrival of the new chapter. This is your shift. This is your sacred release. But it requires completion. You must decide, will you carry the weight of what was, or rise into what is? You are not meant to carry both. You are being asked to walk forward, even if you do not know what the next step reveals. Because heaven is not asking for your perfection. Heaven is asking for your yes, and beloved, your yes carries more power than you know. When you say yes, you break every delay. You override every lie. You realign what's been drifting in the unseen. So now, right now, speak it. Say it aloud. Write it below. Let the heavens hear you. Type in the comments, I say yes to God's plan, not because you feel ready, not because it all makes sense, but because you trust what you cannot see. That is faith, and that faith is what moves heaven. You are no longer waiting for a sign. This is the sign. You are no longer hoping for a word. This is the word. You are no longer standing still. You are crossing over. And what awaits you is not just restoration, it is redemption. The time you thought was wasted, heaven kept record. The nights you couldn't breathe, heaven stood guard. The prayers that felt unanswered, heaven stored them. And now, they are being poured out. Favor, peace, alignment, healing, even reconciliation, but only where honor lives. Even justice, but not to wound, only to set you free. You were not just protected, you were preserved, and now you are being presented. To the world? Maybe. To your future? Absolutely. Because what's ahead is holy. What's ahead is marked. What's ahead has your name on it. But it will only be accessed by your obedience. Heaven is not asking for action without guidance. You will know what to say. You will feel what to release. You will sense when to speak and when to remain still. Your discernment is the compass. Your peace is the signal. Let it guide you now. Beloved, this isn't just a message. It is an activation. It is a divine alignment. It is the shifting of seasons in the spiritual realm. You are no longer who you were when you began this journey. You are no longer unsure, uncertain, or unseen. You are rising. You are chosen, and nothing can reverse that seal. So hold your head high, speak only what heaven allows, guard your energy, protect your mind, and walk forward with quiet authority. The old chapter is closed. The battle is concluded. The next move belongs to you. Will you say yes?